Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Moxie event. We're excited to bring everybody together today and have a panel discussion with two dynamic and inspiring women on the intelligence advantage, how women in risk, insurance, finance, and benefits can lead the AI shift. I'll let our panelists introduce themselves in just a minute, but for those of you who are maybe new to Hub International's Moxie network, Moxie is a community of visionary rebels and go-getters in risk insurance, employee benefits, and financial wellness. Each quarter, we host an event to talk about topics that help you harness your unique strengths, empower you with knowledge and actionable insights, and offer you an opportunity to connect with women who are making change in the business world and in their communities. If this is your first Moxie event, I want to welcome you. We built this community because we believe that connections and insights that you make here today will genuinely shape the next chapter of your careers. And thank you to our Moxie Network crew for joining us today. We hope that you come back and bring a friend with you next time. You can stay up to date on Moxie happenings by visiting our website. That's hubinternational.com/Moxie and clicking Join Moxie. And then you'll receive invites to both virtual events like these here today, as well as any in-person events that are happening in your area. To introduce myself, my name is Kristen Boswell, and I lead brand and portfolio marketing for Hub International. And I work with my wonderful team to bring dynamic and impactful content and campaigns to market, both for our Hub and our View by Hub brands. I've been with Hub for almost 4 years now, and I have really enjoyed my time here and the exciting experiences and campaigns that we've been able to bring to market. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that at the end of today's event, we'll be sharing a really brief survey, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. It means a lot to us to hear your feedback and to make sure that we can make future Moxie events even better for you. So please take a moment to complete that before you sign off. Okay, so let's get started here today. To begin, I would love for each of our panelists to just briefly introduce themselves to everybody. Nicole, I see you there joining. Awesome. Do we have a Monica as well?
I'll jump in since Monica's connecting.
Wonderful. Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, sure. My name is Nicole Loeffer. I am an AI consultant and educator. I largely work with B2B marketing teams, helping them learn how to leverage AI tools like Claude, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and Microsoft Copilot every day in their work. Sometimes I work with wider companies and lots of other functions as well, but mostly in the marketing space. And I've been doing this for about 3.5 years. So pretty deep into AI, live it and breathe it every day, and love having conversations with this. Really excited to be here. And I'll kick it over to Monica.
Great. Thanks, Nicole. I'm Monica Shukray. I lead risk and insurance, business risk and insurance at Anthropic. I've been here for about 6 weeks or so I'm somewhat new to working here, but I have 18 years of experience in the insurance industry across a broker, a carrier, and then the last 8 years leading insurance at Google Cloud. So I'm happy to be here and excited to talk about AI.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. This should be really great. We got the balance of the subject matter expertise with Nicole, deep in the AI world, and then Monica, who's also deep in the AI world, but also from an insurance angle too. So excited to have you both here today for this discussion. All right, let's get down to business. AI adoption, let's be honest, it isn't optional anymore. It's, happening everywhere, but it's not necessarily happening evenly, right? Across the board, women use GenAI at rates about 22% lower than men, and that's according to a Harvard Business School survey. So the opportunity is real. Women that build AI fluency report that it's accelerating their careers and it's helping them learn faster and contribute with more confidence. So that's what we'll talk about here today. How do we support closing that adoption and learning gap? And how do we lead that shift sustainably without the burnout that comes from trying to keep pace with something that, let's be honest, it quite literally never stops moving. All right, so those of us who are working with AI right now definitely know that feeling of that burnout for sure. Okay, so let's dive in. Nicole, let's start with you. What does that term AI fluency, really look like in practice, and how do you keep up with it without burning out?
First off, I'm going to start with the keeping up for 1 second and just say that nobody can keep up with AI completely. Like, it is completely impossible. So if you feel like you're struggling to keep up, it is literally my full-time job, and I struggle to keep up every single day, the pace it moves at. So first, you just have to give yourself permission to keep up, or to not be like 100% up to date on every single thing that has happened. I'm going to go back to what is fluency, and then I'll come back around, but I always just like to start with that, because let's just tell you, nobody can keep up with this stuff the pace it's moving at. But what is this fluency? I like to find AI fluency right now in 2026, we're halfway plus through the year. I would define it as understanding the tool, like the main tool you have access to at your company. What can you do with it for your job? It doesn't have to be every single thing. You don't need to know what engineers and stuff can do if you work in HR or in customer service or customer success or marketing. You need to understand what are the core tools that you have. Most companies have like one major tool that they are using company-wide. Some have two, but usually there's a primary one. Understand how you can use that tool in your job every day and get value out of it in your work. If you can find value from AI in your day-to-day work, you have AI fluency. And I would add to it, I would also get pretty good at communicating with the tool, understanding how to give it appropriate context. If you can do those three things, give it context, talk to it clearly and specifically about what you want it to do, and have a general idea of how to use it in your job and actually use it in your job on a day-to-day basis, you are so far ahead of the vast majority of people. And then as far as keeping up, I would keep up with that tool. Like, I would not try to put without burning out. You don't have to know, unless it is literally your job to know beyond the tool that your company is using. You don't have to know every tool out there. You will go absolutely insane. There are thousands of them. You don't even have to know every big tool out there. You don't even have to know every tool by the company that your tool is made by. You need to know your tool, follow their updates. Anthropic posts on a blog. Anthropic is Claude, by the way, for anybody on the call that doesn't know. Claude and Anthropic are the same, or Claude is Anthropic's tool. So pay attention to Anthropic's blog, pay attention to their social media, what they're putting out. They're going to give you all their updates. And so you're going to know what's going on. If you use ChatGPT, same with OpenAI, their blog, their updates, their social media. If you use Google Gemini, same. If you use Copilot, same. So whatever tool is your tool, pay attention to that. If you do that, you're going to be okay. You're not going to burn out, and you're going to still have time to do your real job too.
I love that advice. And I love, personally, I'm dividing it up between work and personal. So it's like at work, we're on Claude, personal, I'm on ChatGPT. So that allows me to just focus in. But I love that context of like, don't worry, you don't have to boil the ocean here. Just learn the tools that you can learn.
It's a big ocean.
Yeah, you've spoken from a true subject matter expert here. Awesome, I love it. Monica, what are some of the resources or habits or routines that you've developed in your world to be able to keep up that AI fluency?
Yeah, so when I think of a habit, one of the pieces of advice that I've given and that I have for myself is stop studying AI and instead start using it. I think there's this like obsession with let me learn about AI and let me learn about what it does, but really the learning happens when you're actually using it. And a habit that you can implement to do that is you pick one task a day that you have to do anyway. Like no matter what, you have to write this email, or you have to build this model, or you have to file this claim, or whatever it might be, and use AI to help you accomplish that. And so it allows you to continue your day-to-day work and continue the flow of everything that you have, but now you're integrating AI into it and you're learning from that process. And I think that little by little you start to expand your understanding of where it actually helps you. You get new ideas about where you can integrate it. I've been at companies where there's this like goal of, oh, let's do 2 hours a day of learning AI. But none of us have 2 hours a day. Like all of us, our day-to-days are very busy. And so from a habit or recommendation perspective, I think you just integrate it into what you're doing. And I think you'll get further that way. There's a lot of, I've found that just talking to people, there's a lot of like fear or hesitancy in starting to use it. Like it's easier and maybe safer to read about it and learn about it, but like starting to use it, people feel there's a hurdle, but you can just ask Claude for, as an example, what to do, and it will guide you and kind of help you through that process. In terms of resources, I just suggested not to study AI, but Anthropic publishes a free course called AI Fluency, Framework and Foundations. And it's a couple hours. It's not a sales pitch. It's built by university professors that aren't talking about products, which would be maybe more salesy. It teaches you like a way of thinking. And so that could be a good start. And it talks about AI fluency, as Nicole was mentioning as well. And yeah, how to ramp up more quickly. So
I love that. That's wonderful.
Thank you. One thing I want to say, that course Monica recommended is so good. So I will second that recommendation. But I also just wanted to add in, I would also make it a habit that maybe like once a month, you try something that you thought from a previous experiment AI was not capable of. Because that will help you start to push the limits. So like if you tried something, AI didn't do a good job, you weren't happy with it, and you kind of wrote it off as something AI can't do, try it again. Like, and just once a month, just try something. And if you don't have something you didn't think it was capable of, just something that pushes the limits of what you think it can do. And the reason for that is it pushes you to start thinking in a bigger way about what AI can do in your work. But it also helps you to understand that the AI changes and gets smarter and smarter so fast. Like we can't even comprehend how fast it is getting better. And a lot of people make judgments about what it's capable of and think that that is the same. I know people who are still operating on like 2023 and it's like not even the same technology at this point. So
I fully agree. It changes so quickly. It's amazing. It's really amazing to see. I agree.
Yeah, we have debates like that on our team sometimes of like, oh, we tried that, didn't work. It's like, well, did you try that yesterday? Because actually it's working pretty good now, I think. It totally shifts the way that we, have ever worked with a tool before, right? Monica, your advice about like, just ask the tool how to do it, because the tool will actually teach you like how awesome. It's a tool that can support you in your growth and development too. That was how I started, building and working in Claude. It was like, make this project for me. Okay, go create it. It was awesome. So love it. Monica, I would love, we have a lot of people listening in, I'm sure, who are in the insurance industry and benefits and all of that. If you had to explain AI's role in risk management to someone in this industry and out of it, like how would you explain it? What's one thing that you'd really want to make sure that they understood about AI and risk management today?
Yeah. So when I think of risk management, but it's broader than that, it's like the insurance industry as a whole, whether you're a broker, an underwriter, a risk manager. I think a very large percentage of our day-to-day work is ingesting information from a bunch of different sources. So from an underwriting perspective, you're getting loss runs, policy language, risk management has indemnity clauses, claims histories, exposure, submissions, et cetera. And we spend a lot of time trying to understand everything going on, and then actually a small amount of time making the judgment at the end of the day. And I think where AI really transforms risk management is that ability to ingest a massive amount of information and find correlations between different maybe losses and exposure and losses, or find indicators of something that's wrong, or find just things that are a little bit off, so that the risk manager, the underwriter, whoever's kind of looking at this, can then use their judgment to better better informed decision making. I think it's still like to Nicole's point, maybe like an earlier use case of AI, in the sense that many people are using AI to summarize information and gather information. But if you're able to really integrate it across all your different workspaces, and that might be more of a company thing, depending on how your company's set up, I think it can really transform the way you do things, because of how much time we spend within the insurance industry just trying to understand information. Yeah, so it gives you that advantage, I think, at the end of the day, and that's what I've seen. We've implemented it in different risk management departments in all sorts of things: claims, policy, understanding, beyond just like synthesizing information. But to me, that's where it has helped me the most.
Yeah, it's like taking it to the next level, is the connection points across the different inputs.
Definitely.
Nice. Cool. Nicole, you work with clients across all different types of industries. How are you seeing it kind of get shaped, and what's a thing that you've seen clients do that you never thought they could be able to do without it?
Oh my gosh, what's wild is every single day I talk to somebody who is doing something that is just mind-blowing that I never would have expected. But I think one of the more consistent things that I'm seeing the wow over is deep research, the research that's really, really sophisticated and advanced, where the AI goes out, reads tons of different sources, specific types of sources, brings them back and synthesizes that information, and then makes strategic recommendations based off of it. Now that can have a zillion different applications. And so I think it's a space where I've seen it help so many different companies. In the marketing space, I see it a lot in competitive intelligence. So they'll have the AI, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, they'll have it do a deep research run where it's going out and it's reading all of the messaging on all of their competitors' websites and what they're saying on, different, really what are they out there saying, and identify gaps for that company and where is nobody talking about that we could come in and kind of fill that void, or what are they saying about us and we need to make sure we can combat that. Or there's a ton of different ways that companies can use that. That's just one example that's kind of from the world I live in with deep research for marketing specifically. But I've seen people do this for all different types of companies, and you can also give that deep research functionality files and documents or connectors that you have if your company has it set up. So you could have it combing through customer service conversations or sales conversations and pulling insights and strategic information out of that and making actual suggestions. But this combination of being able to ingest massive amounts of information and use it to inform strategic ideas. So it's not just, hey, this is what the research found, but this is what the research found and some suggestions of ways you can use it to improve your job, your company, your world, whatever that thing is. It is extremely, extremely powerful.
It's amazing. And can you do that even if you're not on the top levels of models?
I recommend doing that kind of work with the smarter models for sure. The higher level of intelligence the models have, the more they're going to be able to think through that strategic work. Now, I will say it depends on what you're doing, right? And how sophisticated the logic, the reasoning, and all of that needs to be for what you're doing. A lot of these models at this point that are the top models, you're talking about models that are really scientific PhD research level. Maybe you don't need to be there to read messaging on your competitors' websites and identify gaps. But when you use a model that has that really high level of intelligence that is available, every one of these tools has really top models available in it. And when you use that level of intelligence, the thinking that it is capable of is just wild. Now, you have to not replace the human thinking. Let me really quickly just be very clear. You don't use this to replace your own judgment, your own thinking. This is just a way to expedite going through all of this, identifying these potential strategic ideas, and then bringing the humans together to think through and reason through, do we actually want to apply this? Does this make sense? you review it. You know, all of these AIs make things up sometimes. You do need to check what it's saying. You do need to use your human logic. You can't just check out of it, but it really can make a huge difference in your work.
Yeah, it's an incredible thought partner, right? And if you start using it as such, then you can really start to see how it enhances, your everyday, day-to-day work. I mean, that's examples of stuff that people would do maybe over the course of 6 months, right? And we can now do it over the course of 6 minutes in these tools. So it's quite impressive what a thought partner this can be.
Yeah.
Love it. You both are using it on a day-to-day basis. How have you been using it in ways that have, changed your workflow, your day-to-day kind of approach to using it? That's kind of ways that have been sticking with you.
Yeah, so you just said it, Kristen, but I really, when I started using AI, I kind of thought that I was going to use it more for providing an output. So like a slide deck or an email or whatever, a model, whatever I was trying to build. But what has been really useful for me is exactly what you guys just talked about, is using AI as a thinking partner. So when I'm driving, when I'm working, like at a computer, wherever I am, it's very easy to just talk back and forth with an AI model and ask it questions, ask it to push back at me, provide like disagreements, and it will allow me to kind of generate and formulate a position on something, even when I might not have a lot of background in it. And so if I'm presenting to a group of executives that have a very different background than me, I might use it as a thought partner to prepare for that meeting. So here's what I'm going to say. Here's what could their questions be? And there's kind of a lot of back and forth there. So it's often sold as a productivity tool, AI is, but I personally think of it more of a thinking tool. And Anthropic published research on how people actually use Claude at work. And one of the most common categories isn't necessarily producing something, it's explaining and using the model to actually understand something. The second surprise that I had is that it's a good translator across functions. So if I have like a deck or a email or something that's geared towards insurance leadership, and I want to translate that to legal or product or engineering or something else, it kind of helps identify what are areas where terminology that you would use wouldn't make sense to a certain group, and then how can you kind of shift that over time. Yeah, so, but it's been great. I use AI all the time now, I'm sure, as both of you do too.
You said you're in your car. Do you actually talk to it? Are you a talker?
Yeah, I do. Because I mean, I live in California, so I'm driving a lot. And you can use that time to really prep in a way that I think before you couldn't. I'm also a big podcaster. So because I'm driving, I'll put in like, okay, I need to learn about these, I don't know, 5 documents, create a podcast for me. And I'll listen to it. And then in certain tools, you can interrupt the podcast and ask questions. So I'm very dynamic with it because that's where I found it to be the most useful. It really helps you think through something.
I love that. Yeah. And everyone has a different learning style, right? So you can
totally
like take what you need to learn and tell it how you want to learn it too. That's awesome. Thanks for that tip. I love it. Nicole, what about you? How are you using it?
I mean, I use AI all day, every day, but I'm going to try to break it into 2 different categories. Well, I do like a lot of what Monica just said. That conversation is awesome. I have a lot of processes I've gone through that I do on a regular basis in my business, in my work, in my day-to-day. And a lot of them require thinking, but they're a same thought process. And it really is just applying the same rules and logic and thinking over and over and over in different contexts. And so I took the time to actually flesh out, like, what are those rules? What are those things that I apply across the board, no matter what the context is? And took the time to write really good prompts, which have become some more sophisticated workflows over time, but that can do that stuff for me. So I don't have to sit there and use my thought energy for the same thing I already know, that I know how to check it, I know what it is, and I can just run it through the AI, get that output and check it quickly and save a lot of time that then opens me up to do bigger, more fun, creative, bigger process things. And then the other piece of that is like, I'll adapt things. Like a lot of times we've done work before in the past that we can take most of what we've done and it just needs tweaked in one way or another. And like what Monica was saying, cross-functional, like just adjusting for functions. I have to sometimes like adjust things for industries or different types of companies. And so I'll give it like examples of past work and have it adapt for whatever the context is. So I'll give it the example and I'll just talk to it, explain what I need, like adjusted, my thinking, my logic, and have it go in and just make all of those adjustments. So those are like kind of the more process oriented big things I'm using it for, but then like the strategic thinking all the time. One of my favorite things to do too is like use voice as an input, which Monica very much sounds like she's doing also, but also just like to actually have it create stuff for me using my ideas. Like I don't want the AI writing me a blog post about a generic topic based off of what it goes out and does, or even just doing research that's super generic. And so I'll just sit there and I'll talk to it and be like, I want you to go out and I want you to do research about this and this and this, and this is all the context, and I want you to pull it together and tell me how I can use it for that. And this could be in work, but this can also be personal stuff. Like, hey, I want you to go out, I'm going on a vacation, I want you to research this, I love doing these kinds of things, these are the dates, I want a really great tour guide, like all of the different things, read all the Google reviews, read all the TripAdvisor reviews, pull all this together and make me an HTML website that I can look at that shows me visually all of the stuff you've just researched. Yeah, I'll go out and do all of that. And so it's just really powerful. And I like literally just voice talk it in and it goes out and it does that now. So super fun. There's a million ways to use it, but all different ways.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Nicole kind of touched upon the usage of agents and Claude Cowork and other things that kind of are the next level. And it's really incredible what they can do. The other thing I was going to add is one of the tips that I have that I use often is ask it to check its own work. So you'll come up with a model, for example. I'm an actuary by background, so I keep talking about building models with Claude, which I do. And I'll then ask it to check its own work, and I'll ask it to check again, and that actually catches quite a bit of things in the process. So that's another great tip. And then you get a better idea of where it might trip up on one thing or another. And in my example, it was like a complex actuarial model with maybe like 15 different tabs in a Excel type workbook. So it was more complex, but I was pretty amazed by what it could catch.
I love doing that too. And for really advanced stuff, a lot of times I'll have a different model check it. So like I'll do it in one model and then open a conversation in another model, whether that's like different tool or just a different model in the actual same tool, and have it check it, because sometimes they think a little different and catch things.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm starting to feel that burnout, guys. I'm like, oh, I'm not using voice enough. I need to be using voice more. I need to be building podcasts. I'm going to zone in and say, as long as I'm using it to help in my own work, we're good to go.
Yeah, and also what works for you, right? Like I love talking. I'm a verbal person. So like I process that way. So it makes sense for me. If you love writing, then maybe typing it in makes more sense. If you process your thoughts in writing, it might make more sense for you to type than to talk. So everybody needs to find what works for them. There's no rules. One of the big things with this is there is no rules. Like this is new. We're all just learning as we go.
Right. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
So there's obviously so much going on. Nicole, you were alluding to like it's changing all the time, what's one area of AI adoption that you would tell people, move fast on, dive in, like make it happen? And what's one place where you would say, well, slow down, you don't have to spend your time there right now necessarily?
The biggest thing I would recommend everybody learn and really get a clear understanding of is context. Really understanding what you need to give the AI in order to get the response that you need from the AI. I think this is the #1 skill that anybody could be building, and honestly, most people are not very good at it. It's not like necessarily natural and logical to people. maybe if you've managed tons of people and like trained tons of people, like you are going to have a little bit more of a natural aptitude to this, or you just may have a natural aptitude. But if you think about it, like a lot of people are just assuming the AI is kind of psychic and has ideas and information and knows that institutional knowledge you have trapped inside your mind. And so like you need to get really, really good at identifying what information does an AI need in order to do this. And the answer to that is actually really simple. It's whatever a human would need. If a human would need the information to be able to do the job you're asking, the AI needs it too. And so you got to just be really good at understanding what context is important, all of the pieces of information, but also not over contexting, because a lot of people are trying to solve for context by providing like entire like 500-page manuals or like connections to like every single thing that their entire company has ever done. And if you are at a company and somebody asks you to do a project, like you're at your company and somebody's like, hey, I need you to do XYZ thing. And by the way, here's like 800 different documents you can use to do it. Now you're going to have to use all your energy and all your thinking just figuring out where to even find the right context in all of those 800 documents. Versus understanding, like somebody hands you a project and they say, these are the 4 things you're going to need. They give you exactly what you need, nothing more, nothing less. Now you can go use all your energy to actually do the task and do a good job. So get good at context. That's what I would be doing. I would not be automating for most things. I think people are moving way too fast that don't have the necessary like true literacy around this technology. With having the AI do things that don't have human review involved. And it's becoming a problem in companies. Like people are just dumping stuff in, not like letting the AI run or like setting up automated triggers. I'm not saying there's nothing to automate, but I would be really aware that you are not automating anything that is so important that you've taken the human out of that process, because it's just opening yourself up to risk and liability and problems. And then along the same lines with that, I would not be just taking an output and passing it to the next person in your company to review or use without you reviewing, editing, revising like it is yours. I'll actually say the #1 problem that I think I'm hearing inside companies, I work with a lot of companies, I think the #1 complaint I hear is my employees get a 30-page document out of Claude or a 20-page document out of ChatGPT or whatever that it is, and they clearly never read it and they sent it on. And now it is somebody else's problem, and every single person who gets one of those documents knows it. They see you as not doing your job, and just because Claude puts out something shiny and fancy and it looks really good doesn't mean it's 100% done. A lot of times what you got to go in there and do is go, okay, that was a really nice 45-page document you made me. Now we need to distill this down to the most important 2 pages because nobody wants to read 45 pages, right? Like there's a lot that has to go into that. And so I would not take that output and pass it off, like unless you are comfortable with whatever gets passed off having your name and representing you. Like I say to marketers, and I think this would apply in any field, if you wouldn't hand it off as a work example of your own work in a portfolio, in a job interview, if it came out of the AI, you should not be handing it. So it's not that you don't want to use the AI, it's that you need to take what comes out, you need to adjust it until it's a true reflection of the kind of work you want to do, and then it can go to the next person that you are supposed to provide a deliverable to.
So true, so true. Monica, what's a few shifts that you'd want to see organizations?
Yeah, so on the move fast part, I think I would say move fast on your own fluency of AI and move fast on delegating and having it support you in your day-to-day role. I think that is the faster you can move, the better from that perspective. I took maybe a slightly different approach than Nicole in terms of how I interpreted the question, but on slow down, I would say slow down anything that reaches a decision about a specific human being or anything that's external. So when you think of like the insurance world, like pricing an individual, settling a claim, denying coverage, et cetera, like really using AI without any human in the loop on those sorts of things, you would want to be really careful and put a lot of guardrails around them and slow down in terms of how you're building that out. And then regarding the hype, my advice is that when using an AI model, make sure that it can show its own work. Because as it shows its own work, you can kind of walk through its thought process and evaluate the thought process, not just the answer at the end of the day. And that will give you more confidence on the output and the risks involved and the assumptions it's made. And it just helps you better understand what you're working with.
Yeah. And again, like you were saying before, like go back to the AI and ask it to show you how it's thinking, because it will just take you through step by step, and then you can go on that journey with it, as it were.
Totally. And I also really agree with Nicole's comment on context. Context is super important here as well. And we always think about it as like training a new hire, like give the model everything that you would want to give a new hire on what they would need to do for a specific task.
Nice. Nicole, you've worked with a lot of companies that are like onboarding the tools. How do people build buy-in at their organizations? Maybe the ones that aren't as fluent or haven't, bought into the enterprise-wide tools yet.
I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing, like getting the buy-in, is people understanding how it can improve their own lives and their own day-to-day, and not just the company's bottom line, right? Like there is a lot of fear around this technology, and for very good reason. Like that's not something that like you can tell people they're crazy for having the anxieties, the stress, the fear. Like it's a very real thing, and I think it's just growing the better the technology gets and the more impacts it has in a multitude of ways in the world. But helping people to see how it can make things better for them. It's not just about a corporate bottom line. It actually can improve their experience at work, how they do things, make life better for them. And also, and I really hope this to be the case in this environment, but like also helping them feel secure that you're not using the AI to replace them, because like that is such a huge stumbling block. I've seen so many people that just don't want to use the tech because they're afraid the tech is going to take their job. And so like look at it like, IKEA recently, they did something that replaced 8,500 customer success workers with AI. And instead of removing those people, they actually retrained them in a new role that they're now all interior design experts. Like they taught them how to understand IKEA for interior design. And they added like 1.3 billion euros a year or something, like astronomical to their revenue by doing that, and helping people understand that AI can be used to improve your job, your life, your efficiency, all of that, and then improve the company because you are now open to be able to do so much more with your time, with your role, more fun stuff, more exciting stuff, things that can grow the business or, whatever your job is. It doesn't have to be about growing the business. Helping people see those two things, I think really makes a huge difference to adoption. If people come in scared, you're using them to train an AI so that the AI can take your job, they're not going to use it. Like they're just not going to adopt it. They're going to be afraid. So you've got to help with the psychological elements of this. And especially at this point, if they're not already using it on a day-to-day, that's probably part of it, whether they will tell you that or not.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing is it's really like this whole tool and everybody using it over the past couple of years and everything has really like shifted our perspective too on just human creativity and human intelligence and what a beautiful and incredible thing that really is, So it's awesome to hear stories like that IKEA one about how, we can take kind of people who are maybe not able to do that type of work and give them even more creative work and use that brain where it can even be, more powerful and impactful to the organization.
Yeah, I actually it's a great PR too, because I just needed to buy a new desk and I went to IKEA to buy it because I was like, I love that they did that. I love that they're they're both staying in the future using the technology and also like being people first and how they're approaching it. And so like, I didn't even use the design services they were talking about, but there's so many benefits to handling it in that way.
Love it. All right. So we're a women's network. We're talking about AI. I would be remiss not to hit on, the gap that has been documented out there. So we opened up with that gap that, women are using Gen AI at rates 22% lower than men. And there's also kind of the thought that women are underrepresented in the rooms that are building AI, right? There was a Stanford University study that found that today only about 30% of AI professionals are women. So I'd be curious to hear from you both. Maybe what do you feel like are the biggest opportunities for women to shape how AI gets built and used into the future? And why do women need to really make sure that we step up into this world?
Yeah, so I think historically there's always been, like for many years, a strong push on getting women into STEM and engineering. And I definitely think that's still important and that still matters here. But when you think about an opportunity, because that's going to take time, right, to get more women into the field. When you think about an opportunity, I think that there's a big opportunity in this concept that you don't have to develop and write the model just to shape how AI actually behaves in the world and how it's deployed in the world. And so there's a lot of different functions within risk, insurance, finance, legal, fields that are trained to ask, well, what happens when this goes wrong? Who's exposed? Who bears the cost? And putting women into roles where they're influencing AI deployment is a great opportunity, and trying to determine how to deploy it effectively across an organization or through policy or societal impacts, whatever it may be. I think there's a lot of areas where women can shape AI when you're not necessarily building the model. And everything I'm saying isn't because I don't want women to be 50% of building the model. It's just that there's a time lag, and I think there's less of a time lag in other fields. Nicole, I'd love your thoughts as well.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of a couple of components to this. One is, part of it is that in your own organization, make sure that the women, and I mean really everyone, because this goes to adoption across the board, but understand that using AI in your work and your job is not a technical thing. Like, I think a lot of people hear AI, and this probably also goes to in the rollout, like lack of adoption, is they hear AI and they think you need to be a developer or a coder or anything like that. And you really don't. And in fact, I would actually argue that like fields that tend to be more dominated oftentimes by women, which are like communications and empathetic leaning type of roles, are often female. Those are the people who are the most well suited to use AI, because so much of AI is effective communication, being able to kind of step into the shoes of the AI. Like, and if you kind of look at it like a person, like that understanding context and all of that again. And a lot of those are skills that we've been taught culturally as women our entire lives. Like, you're supposed to have these skills. Think about what other people's experiences are and their communicate effectively and all of that. One of the things I teach people is you almost treat the AI like you're a parent, right? Like you're a mom and you're telling your child what to do, and how do you communicate effectively with your kids that as they're learning and they're growing. So these are all things women tend to be really, really good at, but they hear AI and they think it's really technical and they think I'm not technical. So make sure people really understand you don't have to be technical to get a lot out of this tech, and you're gonna start getting more women using it in general. And then the other piece of this that I would say is, if you are a woman, which I think everybody here is, you need to also realize you don't have to be technical in your company to influence AI, and raise your hand, because a lot of companies are putting together AI task forces, and there's women that just don't have the confidence to realize, because they're not technical, that they are still fully capable of like being a part of this conversation, that they can learn and understand enough if there is any technical that for that role. It's not like deeply like you have to understand code. It's, you know, nothing like that. I'm not technical. I'm not a technical person at all. And I live and breathe AI all day, every day, and my entire career is in the field. So like, you can step up, you can raise your hand and say, I want to be a part of guiding how we're using AI. I want to be a part of the conversation about how it's going to impact the humans in our company, how it's going to, you know, be rolled out, and the risk mitigation, because heck, there is a lot of risk in rolling out this technology, and there is a lot that needs to be mitigated on that and thought through on that. And women are good. I mean, obviously I'm generalizing, but a lot of women are very good for that. So don't hold yourself back from raising your hand. This is new technology to literally everyone. Like, I mean, you know, I've been using it for 5 years and change, and I'm considered like an expert in how to use it. And like, what other field would 5 years make you like considered one of the top experts in using this? So like, realize everybody's new. All the men are new to it too. So if they raise their hands, like, why can't you?
Yeah, I love it. This is the moment. We got to build it all together. This is the time. If you're going to raise your hand for it, raise your hand for it now. I love it. There are so many different task forces and teams getting built all around at different organizations, I know. So this is an incredible opportunity to build your personal brand, build your leadership presence, you know, be part of that piloting group. It's an incredible opportunity right now. All right, let's zoom out 5 years from now. I'd love to hear from you. You know, how has AI changed your role? What do you think you'll stop doing? Where will you be spending your time? Where do you guys think this is all going?
And Nicole, you go
first. Want me to go first? Oh my gosh, 5 years from now, I feel like it is so impossible to predict that far out in the future. I don't think the ways the world are going to change in the next 5 years, and this technology is going to change in the next 5 years, is something that we can comprehend. Like I think very few people, you sound like, if I told you what I think, you'd be like, this is absolutely insane. I think I will be on vacation and retired and have an AI running a business for me. Like, you know, like, it's just going out and doing stuff that the exponential pace at which it's going is just so fast and so massive. I don't really know how you plan 5 years out, if I'm being totally honest. I think the biggest thing I know is it's gonna look nothing like it does now, because I know that right now, today, I'm using AI the best of my ability every day. And like, if I told myself 5 years ago that I would be doing what I'm doing now, I would have like committed myself into some type of a institution, because it would have been so unbelievable that could be. So I think that we're kind of looking at the same thing for 5 more years.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't feel like you can predict more than even 6 months in advance in terms of how quickly things are changing, because as things change, then more things change from the change. So it just compounds on itself. And yeah, I'm very much in agreement. But it's going to be a different world, and I think there's a lot of positives to that as well.
Love it. That's a hard thing for many people to give up that control, give up that
I will say there is one thing that will probably slow it down a little bit compared to what I think and maybe what Monica thinks, and that's like supply chain. Like, that's probably our biggest thing that's like, it's even harder to predict, because there actually is a supply chain to AI and like AI availability. And so like, they can't manufacture the components needed for AI fast enough to keep up with the change and like all the other things that are going to be there technically, possibly, you know, like robotics and that kind of thing. It's just not going to be made at that scale that in 5 years what's possible. So I don't know how that plays in either, but that's actually a good thing for all of us. Probably it gives us a little time to adapt.
Love it. Before we wrap up, we do in our Moxie events here, we like to have a little fun towards the end and ask some of these Moxie questions. So we'll just do a quick round robin here of a few of these to share with the rest of the group. All right, so our first one, which we love to do, is what would be your theme song at work? For me right now, and again, it kind of works with this whole AI theme as well. I'm going old school though. Garth Brooks standing outside the fire. You got to get in. You got to jump in that fire. It's exciting, but if you're standing outside, you're going to be missing out. Monica, what would you say is your theme song at work?
What came to mind is I'm Unstoppable by Sia. I don't know if you've heard it, but I listen to it often just to kind of like pump myself up. And the mindset is I really feel like you can achieve anything you put your mind to. And so it's really about training your mind and getting your mind in the right state and believing you're unstoppable and then you can be, sort of thing. So yeah, that's my theme song.
I love
Over
it.
to Nicole.
So funny because mine is like kind of mindset related too. There's this Canadian band I used to listen to at summer camp in Canada when I was a teenager named Great Big Sea. And they have a song called Ordinary Day, but there's lyrics that are like, hey, 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 it's just an ordinary day and it's all your state of mind. And I just I love that because it's like, it feels like there's so much craziness going on every single day. But it really just is your mindset and how you want to approach it and think about it. So I just kind of always play that song in my head when I start feeling chaotic and
put yourself in that mindset. I love it. What would you ladies say is your mantra or pep talk? I have kind of a silly one lately. My 6-year-old actually made this up, but it's become like our family mantra. And I like to say it to myself as well. It's pretty silly though. I am brave. I am smart. I will do this with my heart. That would be mine. Take it.
I love that. I love that. I don't have a single mantra, but what I do often is I'll put on affirmations on like a YouTube affirmations or Spotify or whatever. And they're actually, Kristen, very similar to what you just said. And then I'll kind of listen to them and get similar to the I'm unstoppable, but the right mindset. I'm a big affirmations person.
I love that. Very
Nicole.
Cool.
I would say don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. And I think that's especially like really true right now for all of us. Like there's always going to be someone so much further in their journey, and not even just beginning to middle, but like that concept of, there's always somebody who's further along, more advanced than you are. And with AI, it feels like, oh my gosh, everybody is doing so much with this. And don't compare where you are in your stage in the journey to where they are in their stage in the journey.
I love it. All right. It makes my day when blank. Fill in the blank. For me, when the answer is clear and we can just all agree, everyone nod, we all move on. That makes my day for sure. What about you, Nicole?
For me, so I get to work with so many people on their AI adoption, and then like I post a ton on LinkedIn, and I do like a lot of speaking events and things like this, and like my favorite thing in the entire world is when I come in contact with somebody somewhere and they tell me something about how their life has gotten better because of something I said or taught or posted or like whatever it was. And they give me this example. And it's like when I find out I had this impact in some way that I had literally no idea about. And yet it's like that ripple effect has been out there. Like it just keeps me going. And if I start feeling like I can't keep doing this anymore, like those conversations are the thing that keeps me going.
So true. And a reminder to share the impact that other people make on you, because that really lights the fire for everybody else too. That's cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
What about you, Monica? Makes my day when blank.
Yeah, I'd say similar when I'm able to help someone else or have an impact on their day-to-day, a positive impact. And then from a personal perspective, which I originally took this question to be, it makes my day when I start my day with a workout and just, get on the right foot in the morning.
Totally. Yes.
Meditation too.
Yeah.
We're going
ready to take on the rest of the day for sure. Well, ladies, thank you so much, seriously, for bringing your expertise to the table today. This was an incredible conversation. Some of the main takeaways that I was hearing are for sure, like, it's impossible to keep up, right? So just focus for yourself, whatever that means. Lean in, zone in to the impact that you can make, you know, in your day-to-day working time, one task a day. You know, you don't have to boil the ocean, like just focus in on what makes an impact for you and let go of everything else. I also loved all of the input that you guys had on how to use it to actually advance yourself, right? Like flip the script. It's not just about helping for work, it's helping to advance yourself. So whether that be creating this podcast, I got to look into this. I love that concept. Using it for coaching, being able to talk to it back and forth, to prep for a meeting, or to, you know, shift your messaging for different cross-functional teams. Such incredible advice on how to use that tool to really advance yourself and you know, take you further in your career. And then lastly was really that takeaway around the importance of context. Not too much context, but just enough context. And imagine you're working with a human, and how much context would you actually need to give them? So I love that, because that's something, you know, women are incredible leaders. They're great at giving the right amount of context. And so I really think that that's a place where we can really make an impact here on how these tools are used and how they're used well and impactfully. This was awesome. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for everybody for joining us here today. We hope that you found this discussion as inspiring and energizing as we have today. And a huge thank you again to Monica and Nicole for sharing their insights and experiences. If today's conversation gave you something valuable, consider passing it along. This recording is going to be available on our Moxie website, so you can share it afterwards with a colleague or a friend. Feel free to. And please also remember to take that survey that's going to launch at the end of the event so that we can receive your feedback. We really value that. We are planning more insightful and inspiring conversations for the rest of 2026, so be on lookout for those. You can see those on our website. Again, it's hubinternational.com/Moxie, MOXIE. And there you'll see updates, and we'll be, as I said, dropping a recording of this event for later. So again, thank you all very much. Thank you, Monica and Nicole, and we will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Nicole.